passe super, l'artiste, super, encore un but sensationnel. That's a brilliant bit of follow-up play by Mahe. Oh my goodness me, what a shot.
Sagosen setter det hen! Han setter den! De i semifinale igjen!
Hello and welcome to the Uninformed Handball Hour, coming to you from the great city of Boston, the great state of Massachusetts, the great country of the United States of America.
Oh God, Alex, no, Jesus Christ! Already pandering to your new home. Well, now that I'd see the day. Yeah. But Alex, you've given up one handball hotbed, Denmark, for Boston.
Well, I think I've learned anything that I needed to learn from my years in Denmark. Yeah. You know, I've been through the masters, I've been through the PhD of handball over my time there. Now
you're a visiting lecturer.
Exactly. I'm going into the depths to research the little known areas of the handball world.
Nice.
But yes, the move went well and the handball went well this week. Which
sure
I'm not going to lie. It was a little bit difficult for me to catch up on. I did watch the Aalborg GOG match from the lounge in Reykjavik Airport. That I caught up on the Nantes-Plots game. So I'm going to ask you some questions, Chris, and hopefully you're a bit more knowledgeable than I am.
All right. Let's see.
But we have to, I suppose we have to start with the Nantes-Plots game.
Yeah.
How about we just run through the results of the playoff round in the men's Champions League. So in the second leg, we saw Dinamo Bucharest beat Kiel in the second leg in Kiel, but still lose the tie by 12 goals. Yeah. So Kiel go through, and they will play PSG in that quarterfinal,
classic.
Which is a very, very tasty matchup and a classic one for sure. Szeged put in a brave performance. I think. Would you say, Chris, that the fans will show up for the rest of the season after that performance?
Yes, I think so. I think that was a lot better, I would say. It probably proves the fact that they were never going to get through, even if they didn't have a disaster in the first game. But yeah, much improved overall. Bit of a topsy-turvy game as well. It seemed like they were going to win for a bunch of times and then just collapsed a few times. But all in all, didn't really matter that game, did it?
Yeah, it didn't. At all, really. Veszprém ended up winning that.
I will say that just quickly, even though Dinamo Bucharest also were in the same situation where they were never going to win, they really celebrated that victory over Kiel, which is quite funny. And the Kiel fans were not happy with that loss, which that is kind of funny. It's like your team has gone through by 12 goals on aggregate, but they still got pretty pissed that they lost at home against Dinamo Bucharest.
It's a classic Kiel result in the Champions League. It's just up and down Kiel. Care one week, don't care the next. But kind of more than that. It's not necessarily just caring and not caring, but it's like not caring and then being terrible or caring and being fantastic. It's just the range is so dramatic as always. But Veszprém through against Big Szeged. In the end, an 18-goal difference in the tie, which is a lot, I would say. Veszprém will go on to play Kielce in the second quarterfinal.
Very nice.
Another tasty match. Probably my pick of the four. Then the tie of the playoffs was Wisła versus Nantes, where the two teams could not be separated. In the end, Wisła winning on penalties, and we will dive into that game in a lot more detail. Wisła will go on to play Magdeburg. Fantastic story for Plock. And the last tie, of course, was GOG versus Aalborg. We'll dive into this one a little bit as well. GOG going through to the quarterfinal, which is pretty impressive for this team of Danish youngsters. or should I say Scandinavian youngsters. They have a few Swedes in there. And they will play Barca, which I think is going to be an absolute hoot of a game. It's going to be really, really fun.
70 goals every game.
Exactly. Before we move on, I've got some exciting news for our Patreon members. Thank you to everyone who's stuck with us since the World Championship and everyone who signed up in the last couple of weeks. Thanks to Patreon, we've been able to increase our podcast output from every 2 weeks to pretty much every week, and probably a lot more moving into the business end of the handball season. But the exciting news is that we're going to have a live show. Well, kind of a live show. It's going to be a live Zoom show on the 23rd of April, Sunday at 8 p.m. We're going to have some amazing guests coming on, which we'll announce over the next couple of weeks. And to attend that show, you have to be a Patreon member. So sign up today. What are you waiting for? You can sign up to the Empty Net Club for as little as $3 a month, or pay whatever you want. We'll be announcing the guests. It's going to be a lot of fun. Chris is excited. I'm excited. Brian's not here. He's the most excited. So join today and join us in our great little handball community. Let's start with Plotzk versus Nantes, because that was really the tie of the round. 32-32 in the first leg in Poland. And then Nantes had a full arena. They had a beautiful tifo out again. The fans were in good swing, but Plotzk ended up winning the tie 30-29. Well, I suppose it went to penalties at 25-25, went to penalties, and Nantes were the only team to actually miss a penalty. That was Odriozola missing the third penalty. Wisła Plotzk perfect from the line and ending the tie 30-29. But Nantes were up 14-11 at half-time. Aymeric Meen was having an absolute stormer of a game. Everything looked great. What happened?
That's the problem. Nantes are not supposed to have everything go great for them in a game like this. This is the first time Nantes in years have been in this situation. If you think about the times they've gotten to the Final Four or made an impact in Europe, it's always they play tight-ass first leg at home in which they're losing against the better opposition, and then they turn things around late in the first half, and then the whole crowd gets behind them and they ground out a dodgy result in the first leg, then manage to pull off some heroics in the second leg away from home. Did it against Kielce in the past, did it against Veszprém. This is a very different situation. They were favourites, second leg at home, leading by 5 goals at various points, right, in that first half. Aymeric Meen, as you said, was in incredible form. He scored 5 goals in a row at the beginning. From 3-2, he took the score up to 8-4. 5 goals in a row for them. And I think they just, it's the equivalent to scoring too early in football. I think that's what happened to Nantes here. They blew their load.
But also, just Plotzk threw it away as well.
Well, yes, they did. That's going right down to the end of the game. Sorry to skip ahead here, but it was just a remarkable ending. Plotzk just, again, turned around that 5-goal deficit, which you mentioned, very quickly, and the 3-goal deficit at half-time, they turned around very quickly, and then it was just neck and neck for most of the second half. Yeah.
And it was 23-23 on the 27th minute. And Plotzk scored some nice goals. Kosaratov with a goal. And they went up 25-23. And I'm just trying to get the exact timestamp of this. But they were up 25-23 on 29 minutes, 17 seconds. And then it somehow ended up as a draw, which is remarkable.
Well, Nantes scored pretty much straight away. I think like 6 seconds after conceding. Coldy Odriozola cut it back to 1 goal. And then, it was a turnover. And Alexandre Cavalcanti sending it to penalties with the equaliser, I think with 12 seconds left on the clock.
Why the hell did Wisla Plock take out their goalkeeper and play 7-on-6, being 1 goal up with 20 seconds left?
There's only one man you could probably ask for that explanation, and that is Javi Sabate. And I would like to ask him that question, and hopefully at some point, ask him why, because it's a very good question. I just need to go. I want to have a look back at this moment as well in real time, and maybe we can invite the audience as well to watch along as we see the end of this game. So we'll head over to the highlights, right, on the Home of Handball channel, the YouTube channel, and find Nantes against Wisla Płock. And where are we going here now? Just before the penalties. Okay. So, actually, it was a little bit before. So they went 25-23 up at 59 minutes and 8 seconds. Right? And then, equalized straight away. 1-2 there. Nice ball from Brie, and Odriozola cuts the deficit. But yeah, you're right. Then there's 40 seconds left on the clock here. Going 7v6. And it is one of the softest turnovers I think I've ever seen in my life. It's a real, not soft in the referee's decision, probably the right decision for the referee to make. But Thomas Piroch probably aged about 3 years after that happened. I'd say there was not one man more relieved in all of the arena than Thomas Piroch, who managed to turn that over with a really bad, really soft attacker foul. Great work by Theo Mornar. And an empty net to shoot into for Cavalcanti. I don't know why you would play 7v6 in that situation. All you're looking for is a couple of, normal fouls. And I'm just looking over at the winger as well. He's all alone on the right wing, just waiting for the ball. But hey, if they had lost, this would be a much worse situation, but it wasn't the case. It went to penalties. And I think it's the first time ever, right, since the new rules have come in for a knockout game in European club handball where away goals have been taken out of the equation. If this were the old rules, Nantes would have gone through on away goals, but not the case. And I think that's primarily a right thing, because away goals, when you're scoring 130 goals over 2 games, is quite ludicrous. But not the case, and it went straight to penalties. What do you make of that change in the concept? I'm a fan.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Away goals don't make any sense. Too many goals for that to apply. They've taken away goals in football as well. So that's, the away goals is dying. Probably should have died quicker for handball. My only question is, so then the question becomes, do you do extra time? And in some ways, like the home team in the second leg gets quite a big advantage if extra time is being played, because you get the extra home minutes. But is it really that much advantage if we're talking about games which both finish on an equal score?
Yeah, I mean, you might even argue that in this case, where the reason why the Nantes in this case are playing at home is because they had a higher seeding, because they finished third in the group. Płock didn't, so maybe it's an earned advantage to have in that situation. So maybe, but handball extra time is something we've discussed a lot recently, particularly the World Championship. I think we can all agree we don't need 2 periods of extra time. Whether we need 1 period in this case, I don't know. I'm kind of happy it went to penalty straight away, and that Płock managed to get through. As you said, it was really dramatic. Only 1 miss, and that was in the second round of penalties. Poor Coldy, Odriozola, denied by Ignacio Biosca, a new name on the Spanish goalkeeper map, and who joined from Cadet and Schaffhausen. So that was so they must have done a direct switch, right, with Bioska joining the club from Schaffhausen and Christian Pilipovic going from Płock back to Schaffhausen, where he's been a hero since going there. So it seems like it was a transfer or a swap that suited absolutely everyone in the end. Because he managed 11 saves and saved the day for them. But like what a great set of penalties as well from Płock. And just looking at the guys who took the penalties to send them through, it's you understand why in the end, that they had the nerve. Tin Lutsin, we know Brian Campion's favorite. He was always going to score. Kosarotov, Mindegia, I mean, there was no way he was going to miss that penalty. Daszek and Krajewski, like Poland's two best wingers, so two of Poland's best three wingers, finishing off the job. Like, what more can you want? Who knew? They may not seem great on paper, but when it comes to penalty taking, they've got a great bunch of lads.
They do. I think, now that I think about it, I think extra time should be played. That's my thought. Yeah. I think the additional point that you mentioned, that the higher seed gets the second leg at home, that is, yes, the higher seed should get some advantage, and that is the extra period if you need it at home, because I think ultimately, momentum carries into extra time, and I probably would have been not to go through
based on that last minute of play. Yeah, you'd think they would take that last minute of play. Yeah,
but it's a good challenge. It's kind of I like this kind of chaos that happens at the end of the game. Then you get a chance to really reset a little bit, and then another chance for chaos kind of towards the end of extra time. I think it's a good way to decide it. So probably having that extra time for me would have been the way to go. But now I'm just going to bring up my hot take. I'm going to bring it up right now.
Let's do it.
It should be 3 legs, best of 3. And there's no extra time. There's no aggregate score. There's no away goals. There's just you win your game and then you go through.
All right, so what happens
if you don't win your
what happens if when those games go to a draw? Extra time or penalties?
Extra time.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay.
I'll be consistent.
Yes.
I'll be consistent.
This set of playoff games has been the strongest evidence for that, I think, that we've ever had. When you think about the 2 games where Kiel and Veszprem have gone through, they were both done before they started. If it was best out of 3, and Kiel have a bad day like they did, Dinamo pop up and get a 1-goal victory, then you're going to game 3. Szeged might have actually had a chance to win, I think. Or might have played in a smarter way to win, rather than just like playing for pride. If it was a best out of 3. Aalborg, the heroic victory they had in the first game wouldn't have gone to waste if they knew that, next week they have a game 3 where maybe the squad is even more healthy again. And there's a bit of hope for them. So, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the calendar doesn't need more games, but maybe
I have a full. I have a full version of how the tournament should go, but I won't bore you with that now. But it would be reducing some of the group games to increase some of the playoff games, and that's for another day. But I also think you have to reward the teams that do well in the group stage, and that is having the 3rd leg at home. That makes a big difference, and it will make teams fight for those higher seeds. There's no kind of picking and choosing. We're Kiel, we can play whoever we want. Whatever it is, it makes a difference. It adds to excitement. More knockout handball. A game like a tie like Dinamo and Kiel becomes more interesting, and that's the thing in high-scoring sports, is that you can just have a fantastic game one day, and a team can have a really bad day one day. It happens. There's momentum. There's a lot of goals. And kind of on the flip side of that, any team at this stage, can win against any team. At home, by one goal, any team can beat any team. But it gives this opportunity for every tie being important, everything coming down to the wire, gives us more games, gives us less dead rubbers, and I think that is the way forward. But it won't be.
It sounds,
at least for the near future.
And I'm going to bring this up maybe right away, but maybe a little later. It depends when you want to address it with some Płock fans not enjoying your tweets. But it might sound to the casual listener or that you're not entirely happy with Płock going through. I think that's not the case. They could have won both of these games if they went to extra time and penalties.
Absolutely, yeah.
But you're thinking more in a broader sense.
Yeah, definitely in a broader sense. More in one of the complaints was that this playoff tie wasn't the most exciting. And, we had some good games, but realistically, there was only 2 out of the 4 ties that actually provided any excitement. And then additionally, I just don't like the fact that the best teams don't play right now. The best teams are not playing. We had this big discussion about MVP. And there's this build to it. And, this is the period when the MVP gets decided, crucial times. And then our top 5 MVP candidates didn't play. And it's just, there's something a tiny bit
anticlimactic. No, he wasn't in there. The best goalkeeper was in though, Tobias Stillin. Anyway, yes, this is for another day. But overall, understandable. Do you want to address the unhappy Płock fans now?
I'll just say that one flame is still a lot of flames.
Okay, I have to give some context here. So, for those of you who don't follow us on Twitter, Alex, through the guise of the @handballhour Twitter account, said the EHF Champions League quarterfinals are set, and then you put a number of flames beside each of the quarterfinal matchups. Barca versus Georgi, 2 flames. Kiel versus PSG, 3 flames. Veszprem versus Kielce, 3 flames. Magdeburg versus Płock, 1 flame. We had Real Olo 66 saying 1 flame next to Magdeburg versus Płock. Come on! And then Conan O'Brien gif saying, what the hell is that? And then Pavel Novakovsky, who is a fan of the podcast, I believe, maybe not for much longer, said, why only 1 star for the match between Płock and Magdeburg? Probably if it was Nantes, it would be 3 or 4. And then Andreas Caspier came in there and said exactly, because Nantes is much better on paper, and so is Magdeburg. So Pavel says these are double standards. When Płock advances to the semi-finals, he says, not if, there will be titles of what a surprise and other nonsense. It's really bad considering the quality of this podcast. Thank you, Pavel.
All I'll say is that Płock, this is the first time Płock are in the Champions League in many years. They were, they are an underdog.
Yeah, since 2020, yeah.
Since 2020. They're an underdog here. And they're coming up against a fantastic team. So I think out of the 4 ties, it is I would say it's equal disparity between Barcelona, GOG, and Magdeburg and Płock.
Yeah.
Maybe Barcelona are even higher, but that game is just going to be really, really fun. It's just, I'm really looking forward to Barcelona GOG. If it was Nantes versus Magdeburg, yeah, maybe I could have given it 2 stars. 2 flames. Let's see how it goes. It's still going to be a fantastic game. And, flame is still a fantastic... I can't just give 3 flames to every game.
No, exactly. Yeah, they can't all be the same. I think, I would say, Pavel, it's not negative towards... We're not trying to be negative towards Płock here. And somebody has to be the underdogs. And in this case, it is Płock. And it will be a surprise if they go through. It was a surprise they got through here. Look, they were an inch away from being knocked out of the whole thing in the group phase. So we can't forget that. They scraped through to this round, and then they managed to beat a team that finished third in the other group, which is a huge surprise, I think, in that sense. And Płock versus Magdeburg is like your classic European League quarterfinal as well. So it just takes a little bit of getting used to see both of these teams now in a Champions League quarterfinal. It could bring us something that we didn't know we needed. But we've seen these teams play each other in a lower level. So it's maybe not it doesn't jump out at the page too much. But Płock have surprised us already, and I'm open for them to do it again. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're capable of in a quarterfinal against Magdeburg.
Yeah, I would also, I think that Magdeburg as well, participating in their first Champions League in many years, also falls into this kind of slightly lower rating. But all games are going to be fantastic. This has to be the round. Chris, I'll ask you a question. Oh, well, we should probably speak about GOG versus Aalborg, but I'll ask you a question. Which of these 4 games do you think has the potential of being a dead rubber after the first leg? This isn't a quiz. This is an opinion question.
Yeah, there's two. I think there are 2 games that have the potential for it, and I think that is the games with Barca GOG and Magdeburg Płock. The potential. Not saying it's going to happen, but I'm a little bit burnt by the previous round here after what happened to Dinamo Bucuresti and Szeged, because I think Barca and Magdeburg both have the potential to absolutely destroy the opposition, even away from home, and be super clinical and really put it to bed. Because we haven't seen them in knockout handball yet. I think it was a great reminder of what the top teams are capable of when it comes to the knockout rounds, what Kiel and what Veszprem did in the first leg. Having said that, I don't think that's going to happen in either case. I think GOG and Płock are going to make really good games of it at home in the first leg. And Płock versus Magdeburg can be a really dogged game throughout the 2 legs. I think GOG will go all guns blazing at the beginning. And I just find it hard to imagine that their 8 players will manage to match Barca for 2 legs. Maybe for 1.5 games, but not 2.
Yeah, let's just go to... Yeah, let's stick with GOG then. You mentioned 8 players, but what a collection of players.
What an 8 players.
Included in those 8 players is the number 1 scorer in the Champions League, Simon Putlik, on 92 goals. On the other side of the court is the second top scorer in the Champions League this season, Emil Madsen, with 92 goals. On the line, they have this young Dane called Lucas Jørgensen, who is the 8th top scorer in the Champions League this season. And not to mention a goalkeeper in goals who has the highest save percentage in the competition. And in their centre-back is the 5th top assister, and Simon Putlik is the 3rd top assister in the competition. What else can we get? I'm sure there's a steals leader somewhere there.
Somewhere. What else have we got there? Top scorers on field, maybe someone there. Jere Tolbring, 16th. For the top goal scorers in open play. Morten Olsen is number 12 in that list. And Emil Madsen is number 9 in that list. And Lucas Jørgensen is number 4 in that list. Yeah, you just don't need many players, it seems. They're bringing out the Vardar approach from a couple of years ago. And whereas Vardar were a bunch of older men who just managed to somehow keep going, GOG have a couple of old men and then a bunch of lads who just don't stop running. And that was a really enjoyable game, that second leg between GOG and Aalborg. And I think the final score, which is 32-24 in GOG's favour, kind of suggests that it was one-sided if you didn't watch it. I felt like there was always a hint of danger there for GOG, but they managed to, in what should have been like their trickiest moment, when Morten Olsen got a ludicrous direct red card, that they just like stepped up 2 gears all of a sudden and ran away with the game.
Yeah, exactly. It was a 4-goal difference, and as low as 2 goals was the difference in the game. So on the 38th minute, the difference was 2 goals, and it looked like, you know, the tie was level there. Aalborg were coming into the game. You know, GOG quite confidently sprinted into the lead. I think it kind of similar to what you talked about after the first leg. This time GOG were a lot more composed, and they didn't need to go to 6th gear. They didn't need to go to 8th gear, because they already play in 5th gear all the time. So they just started in a normal top gear with a focus and kind of sprinted out into a 9-3 lead. You know, all the usuals getting goals here. Putlik, Maassen, Jurgensen, Talbring. And it looked good. It really good. But again, this Aalborg team, which has a lot of grit to it, and in particular getting Felix Klar back, was really important. He really drove them in that first half. It was pretty much the Felix Klar show. Marinus Monk got himself a goal in that first half. He got some minutes. Victor Kluve was the starting left back there. But they were playing well. Red card, and GOG benefit from that. Well, like, I'm not even sure how that happens. Is it just the anger at such a kind of ludicrous decision, as you called it?
Yeah, I think so. And it was at a point in the game where like everyone on both sides were getting really pissy with the referees. They weren't happy with anything. And, you know, the EHF did everything right here. The delegate was from Sweden. The referees were from Norway. It's the perfect combination for a Denmark versus Denmark game. And yeah, they just weren't vibing with the referees, anyone involved. And something about it, I think we have to credit, you know, they've just lost their kind of their experienced head in the attack, right? And they still somehow managed to like get themselves together. Like in comes Nikolai Pedersen, who is more of a defender. I mean, he's 29. He looks like he's 22, but he's 29, so he's relatively experienced. But he comes in, and Simon Pidlik and Madsen just keep doing the job. It's incredible. 8 goals for Pidlik, 7 for Madsen, 7 for Jorgensen. That's 22 goals between the 3 of them out of 32. And full credit to Nikolai Krikau, who whatever he did, whatever he said to them after that red card, it worked a treat, because they played beyond their years again, which is really impressive.
I also think, actually, in this case, it was Aalborg who kind of hit a wall. Their attack just stopped working. There was no movement. It was just kind of one-on-one from standing for that period. Basically, they made their run, red card happened, and Aalborg fell apart just as much as GOG came into the game. So it was a movement in both directions. And it's horrific handball from Aalborg in the middle of that second half. Felix Klar just wasn't the same as the first half. And they just didn't have the firepower. You know, they're relying on Victor Kluve and Hoxer. You know, Hoxer, now he's a bit of a household name. But this is still a 22-year-old who probably shouldn't have been playing too much this season. Sandel's injury had really vaulted him into the squad as a mainstay. So you have, you know, and you know, Henrik Mulgar can only do so much, especially playing a couple of games close together.
Third game in 1 week, you know. Like, it was a great story, the first leg for Aalborg, but realistically, like, it was never good. They were never going to be able to repeat that away from home. The atmosphere as well in Odense was amazing, and great to see Like great to see the demographics of the crowd as well. Such youth, such vibrancy. It's really nice, and I can't wait to see that against Barca in the quarterfinal. That's why they're not going to get steamrolled in the first leg, because it's going to be
just full of testosterone, full of hormones. That whole arena is just full of drunk teenagers and pure hormones. To see it. Incredible. What more?
Nice that they're channeling all of that into a safe space of a midweek handball match.
Just also, I think, I'm not sure if we really talked about this, but I think we kind of missed out on the Simon Putlik and Lucas Jurgensen transfer to Flensburg on the podcast. Have we? Did we mention it?
We did briefly go over it, yeah, but we had not into detail. Yes, they're both off to Flensburg.
Both off to
no Flensburg. Surprises. It's kind of a surprise that it's not a surprise. Like, it's the obvious thing, but
Well, I suppose
fair play to Flensburg.
I suppose the surprise is the fee and the fact that Flensburg were so desperate that they bought Putlik a year before his contract ran out. So for next season, as opposed to the season after, we talked about Putlik potentially staying maybe 1 year with GOG and advancing there. Nope. He's going to Flensburg. The fee was assumed in the region of €500,000, which is right up there with the biggest transfers of all time in handball. Included in that, of course, is Lucas Jurgensen, who was pretty much confirmed to go to Flensburg anyway, with Aaron Mensing going the other way. So that's really good to see. From my perspective, Aaron Mensing, who has really, really built into the season. He's had some terrible luck with injuries, but he's been part of this huge Flensburg resurgence that we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks and months. Aaron Mensing has really led that. He's gone back to Denmark. He'll be with GOG, which gives me a bit of relief because GOG are still going to be a top team next year.
Yeah.
Even with, those three players that we mentioned, those three players who are dominating the Champions League for GOG, all of them are leaving. But they should still have a good squad and stay at the highest level. And, that fee is going to really help the club evolve. It'll be interesting to see how that gets handled, whether it's, it is a boarding school at the end of the day and a professional club on the side. So we'll see where that investment goes. There's no real need to invest in facilities or youth handball. They've got plenty of that going through. So maybe they'll get invested into the top level and the squad can get stronger and stronger because it's just been a great story. Having two top Danish teams, I think, is also great for Danish handball. The club handball season in Denmark has had a lot of attention because everyone knows that there's these two teams just fighting it out for the Champions League spot. We know now that GOG are good enough to be in the quarterfinal, so that's good for me. And for Flensburg, watch out for Flensburg next season.
Not to diverge too much, but like Simon Putlik, Kai Smits, Blaj Blagotinšek, and Lucas Jurgensen joining the team next season. Jim Gottfriedson with Simon Putlik to one side of him, Kai Smits to the other. He's gonna feel like Miguel Hansen at the World Championship. He's like, all right, I'll just keep passing the ball. That's why his body will feel so much better. He doesn't have to sacrifice himself in every game anymore. Just pressure on Flensburg now to pull off some miracle and qualify for the Champions League next season, because that squad deserves Champions League handball.
It does. Absolutely.
That squad needs Champions League handball. It would be such a bummer if Simon Putlik and Kai Smits and Lucas Jurgensen are not playing the Champions League next season. Anyway, you have to earn it, though.
You have to earn it. Or you get a wild card.
Or you get a wild card. Maybe that's why the HF are doing this now. Shall we go into that quickly, or do you want to give some? What are your thoughts in the quarterfinals then quickly? Your early predictions. I'm sure we'll go into them again. It's like a month until the game, so we'll have plenty of time to go back into them. But first thoughts, who's going through?
First thoughts is that I like the look of Veszprém.
Yeah.
And it's for two reasons. One is Remedy completing that squad. We talked about that. The second reason is Rasmus Lauge-Schmidt having one of his best handball years of all time. He's averaging basically 6 or 7 goals in the last 5 games in the Champions League. He is he's the 7th top scorer. And, going back to our MVP rankings, I think Lauge-Schmidt is very solidly in the top 5 right now. And yeah, I like Veszprém. So I think Veszprém versus Kielce is going to be a fantastic tie because Veszprém are a little bit on the up, while Kielce have that uncertainty still looming over them. That hasn't affected their play, but it is still going to be there. It's going to be bringing it down a little bit, which makes that tie extremely equal for me. Earlier in the season, I would have had Kielce just going through. Right now, that's the tie of the round for me.
Okay.
Otherwise, great fun between Gege and Barca. The greatest match of all time between Wisla Plock and Magdeburg. A game that I'm looking forward to so much. It's going to be fun. Let's see how those games evolve. Let's see what toll the Bundesliga takes on Magdeburg and Kiel. They're both in a incredible title race / Champions League race in the Bundesliga. So let's see what effect that has on them going into these games against teams that might be PSG are also in a title race, so everything is open. I'm excited.
You mentioned the wild card there. The EHF executive have announced that there will be some changes from next season, and there will be the potential, doesn't have to be done, but a wild card can be proposed for teams to qualify for the Champions Leagues. And in the women's competition, there'll be the potential to have 2 extra teams qualify, which I think is directly related to Russia not having the likes of Rostov-Don and CSKA involved, as Russian teams are all banned from European competition. So, yeah, we could have a third Danish team or German team or French team or Romanian team, perhaps. Romanian teams, a lot of them coming in from next season as they try to bolster the overall competition. And on the men's side, yeah, interesting. So it changes from an upgrade, which is based on certain criteria. This potentially gets rid of all those criteria. And I'm thinking probably Kolstad is in mind for that, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Because if you're probably looking at if you're thinking of the criteria, they don't really have any criteria. They don't have any of they wouldn't get many points for European record or anything like that, right? But yeah, it could be the direct route for Kolstad to get into the Champions League next season. Yeah, interesting to see.
Yeah, I wonder if it was designed, this wild card probably took a bit of time to come through. And, Karlstad are going to likely win the Norwegian league. They finished top of the regular season. Then, of course, we go into the playoffs. So let's see what happens. But they're looking very, very good.
They are.
And you're probably confident that they'll win it and therefore have a direct qualification. But maybe that wildcard rule was designed before the season went so well for Kolstad, and they're
just in case,
let's get Sagosen, let's give Sagosen a wildcard.
Yeah, let's give Sagosen a wildcard. Yeah, exactly. The one for Sagosen and one for Simo Pitlick, perhaps. Let's see.
And the last point to mention is the ridiculous game that happened in North Macedonia last week.
Oh, yeah.
Between Vardar and Eurofarm Pelistar in Vardar's home arena, the Jane Sandusky, which we do miss. We do miss that arena. What we don't miss is crazy ultras that want to fight each other, want to fight the police, want to fight the players, and in particular. So what happened was that this was a crucial game for the North Macedonian League. The top two teams, Vardar, of course, were playing Eurofarm Palester in the Jane Sandusky. And the game had to be stopped in the first half because many of the Eurofarm Palester fans basically rushed the pitch. They rushed the arena. They started fighting with fans. They started throwing smoke bombs. Pretty insane scenes. If you haven't seen it, go into Rasmus Boysen's Twitter. He has a nice roundup. Or
Philip Mishoff,
who is the Macedonian reporter who was on the ground sending through a lot of that footage. But pretty crazy scenes, and ultimately, there's fights on the court. The game got stopped, but then it did move on. My favorite scene, though, was our favorite player, Stoilov, the bear of North Macedonia, fighting with some of these fans and throwing them off the pitch. Basically, these are big topless dudes who are throwing bottles, and Stoilov goes over and just wrestles one of them to the ground. Actually punches one, which is probably a little bit too intense. But that's the North Macedonian way. Crazy scenes.
Yeah. It is wild, like watching this video. And Stoilov taking some punk to the ground. And he gets a proper swing in as well. Like, he's trying to reason with, he's like, come on guys, get off. And then he just sees like, fuck this shit. I'm going to have to literally take this into my own hands. And not messing about. Stoyancha Stoilov has no time for ultras when they behave like that.
And I will also mention that I think while I was describing it, I did say that it was the Eurofarm Palester fans that started it. Just to be clear, what kicked off this whole thing was actually a coin thrown from the Vardar fans at the Palester goalkeeper. That was the instigation. Then all hell broke loose, and I think both sides are to blame. So I don't want to misrepresent the actual happenings of that occasion. Blame lies on both sides. Vardar fans and Palester fans. The Vardar players, as I said, tried to calm everyone down. The Palester players had to run inside their locker room and break through a door on the ending of the game. So, ultimately,
it's just such a pity. I mean,
very horrific scenes.
It's a pity, isn't it? Like, because probably the result of this, according to Philip Mishoff, is that the probably the next games they're going to play will be behind closed doors. There'll be no fans allowed, and both sides will get fined. When you look at what's happening in North Macedonia, like with the amount of fans that come out to a game like this, and then 500 people go and watch the football team play an international, it shows how powerful handball is in this sport. And you don't want scenes like that to be driving fans away, because you could also imagine that things like this would stop younger fans from being able to go, just because, you don't want Stoyancha Stoilov or someone else beating the shit out of you. If you go, you shouldn't go into court in the first place. Let that be the lesson. And
just to fill in this story, Vardar ended up winning that game against Eurofarm Palester 31-24, and it looked like they were going to basically stroll to the end of the league, win the league, and maybe hopefully we see them in the Champions League next year. But the next week, Vardar lost to Alkaloid. Do you know what club Alkaloid is, Chris O'Reilly?
I do, because we talked about this in January before the World Championship, because so many of the Macedonian team were Alkaloid players, much to everyone's surprise, because the Macedonian coach, Kirill Lazarov, also owns Alkaloid. So it's Kirill Lazarov's team.
Yeah, so a bunch of, basically, this is Kirill Lazarov's huge project. Alkaloid, who've got some investment. They've got Lazarov as a coach. They're starting from the youth. It's a very young team. And they beat Vardar 22-21, which actually throws the league wide open again. So let's see who comes out of Macedonia. Again, you know, you do miss the Macedonian teams. You miss the Macedonian fans. And hopefully we see them at the highest level again.
All right, well, there you go. I didn't expect we'd be delving into the Macedonian Super League, but hey, it's one of the tightest ones at the top, so there you go. All right, we'll leave it there. Alex, thank you very much. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week with another Patreon special podcast. Until then, goodbye.